Hello, this is Lena. Today I'm going to give you a little special time. Have you heard of the book Think Again yet? It's a magical book that makes our hearts softer. Just hearing the title makes you think, what does it mean to think again? Simply put, it's about practicing reconsidering the ways of thinking and beliefs that we usually take for granted and opening our eyes to new possibilities. For example, let's say you believe that it's natural to eat toast for breakfast. But one day, when a friend says, rice is good instead of bread, don't you reflexively think, no, breakfast is bread. But then you stop for a moment and think, rice is also a source of energy, so maybe I'll give it a try. That's the first step in rethinking, which is the theme of this book. The author, Adam Grant, is a psychology researcher and a big success in the business and leadership fields. In this book, he gently explains how difficult it is for us to change our thoughts. And in the process, he gives us many new discoveries and learnings, as if we were on a journey. Now, let's explore the contents of the book together. An exciting adventure awaits, so please relax and listen with a cup of tea. 1. How to slowly unravel our fixed mindsets. Now, let's take a step into the book. Adam Grant first talks about the fixed mindsets we usually hold. Simply put, what is a fixed mindset? It is a preconceived notion that we believe, I am right. For example, the belief that I should just be busy to improve my work efficiency may also be one of the fixed mindsets. But is it really so? Let's take a look at the 3 thinking styles that Grant introduces: preacher, prosecutor, and politician. These are examples of fixed attitudes that we tend to fall into. Preacher mode. When we are in a preacher-like mindset, we are convinced that my opinion is absolutely correct. For example, when a friend teaches us a new way to exercise, we feel like we are forcing our own opinion on them by saying, no, running is the healthiest way to do it. We often do not have the time to listen to the other person and rush to persuade them instead of arguing. Prosecutor mode. In prosecutor mode, your main goal is to point out the mistakes of others. For example, you can imagine yourself enthusiastically arguing against an idea proposed by a colleague, saying, that idea is wrong for these reasons. In this mode, you focus on proving that you are right, which makes it difficult to communicate with others. Politician mode. In politician mode, you adjust your opinions to gain popularity. For example, you may say, if everyone agrees with it, then I agree too, prioritizing the approval of others over the truth. In this case, you miss the opportunity to think about what is really right. So what should you do? Here, Grant advocates the scientist mode. In scientist mode, you constantly ask yourself, is my idea really right, and flexibly revise your ideas based on new data and information. For example, when a friend tells you, yoga is a good way to exercise, you think of it as an experiment, asking, what would happen if I tried it? This way of thinking is useful both in the workplace and in everyday life. For example, when your boss suggests that you try a new method, you can respond flexibly by being in scientist mode and saying, let's see what results this brings. Next, let's dig deeper into how we can incorporate this scientist mode into our lives. 2. Steps to incorporate scientist mode into your daily life. So, let's think together about how we can incorporate scientist mode into our daily lives. Grant tells us that thinking like a scientist is not something that only special people can do, but a skill that anyone can acquire with practice. Here, I will talk about some specific methods and examples. Start a small experiment. The basis of scientist mode is to make a hypothesis and try it out. For example, when you wake up in the morning, you might think, maybe if I stretch for 5 minutes, I'll be able to spend the day more comfortably. So, try it for a week. If the results are good, you can continue doing it, and if not, you can try a different method, such as, next time, let's try light exercise. By repeating small experiments like this, your daily life will improve little by little. Have the courage to say, I don't know. We often feel embarrassed to admit that we don't know something. However, Grant calls this confident humility and points out that it is actually an important ability. For example, when you come across a technical term that you don't understand in a meeting, asking, "Can you tell me what that word means?" is actually a very professional attitude. By admitting that you don't know something, you will have more opportunities to gain new knowledge and will be trusted by those around you. Welcome, opposing opinions. In scientist mode, it is important to question your own thoughts once. For example, when you create a presentation document, ask your colleague for honest feedback. The important thing here is to see the other person's comments as an opportunity to improve rather than as criticism. For example, if someone says, "This diagram is a little difficult to understand," you can think positively and ask, "How can I make it easier to understand?" This is the key to developing flexible thinking. Re-examining prejudices. Grant also touches on confirmation bias, a common fallibility for us. Confirmation bias is the tendency to only collect information that supports what we want to believe. For example, when trying a new diet method, a typical example is to only look for information that says, "This method is effective," and ignore the dangers and disadvantages. The key here is to consciously look for opposite information. By thinking, "What are the risks if it doesn't work?" you will be able to make a more balanced decision. Change the dialogue to cooperation instead of competition. Grant thinks of dialogue as a dance, not a battle. For example, when you have a disagreement with a colleague, instead of trying to prove to each other who is right, be conscious of how you can cooperate to come up with new ideas. This will make the conversation more constructive and increase the chances of new discoveries. By practicing these steps, you will naturally acquire the scientist mode. 3. Ways to cultivate scientist mode throughout the community. Now, it's great to practice scientist mode on your own, but spreading it to the entire community will have an even greater effect. Grant emphasizes that the growth of individuals spreads to those around them, and organizations and society as a whole will evolve. Let's take a look at some specific ways to do this. Building psychological safety. The term psychological safety may sound a little difficult, but it basically means an environment where you feel it is okay to express your opinions. For example, have you ever been worried in a meeting that, if I bring up an idea like this, I might be laughed at? In an environment with high psychological safety, there is no need to have such fears. At one company, the boss apparently held a failure report meeting every week, providing a place for employees to announce what they had done that week. Although it may seem like a strange idea at first glance, this made employees no longer afraid of failure, and instead began to accept it as an opportunity to learn. In such an environment, everyone can speak freely, making it easier for new ideas to be born. Fostering a questioning culture. To spread a culture of rethinking in a community, it is essential to have the habit of asking good questions. For example, let's say a subordinate comes to you and says, "I don't know how to proceed with this project." At that time, instead of giving instructions such as, "It should be done like this," try asking the other person, "What do you think?" This not only helps the other person develop the ability to think for themselves, but also gives them a new perspective every time they are asked a question. In Grant's example, questions such as, "Why do you think that?" and "What options are there to try differently?" are introduced as driving the growth of organizations and individuals. Create a culture that welcomes feedback. Feedback is important to promote growth throughout the community. However, feedback can sometimes feel difficult to accept. The key here is to receive feedback as a gift rather than as an attack. For example, let's say a cafe employee tries out a new latte art design. At that time, let's say the feedback is, "I think this design is a little too simple." Normally, you might feel that your efforts have been rejected. However, It is because of this feedback that you have room for improvement, such as, let's try a more complex design on your next attempt. Sharing a growth mindset. Have you ever heard of the term growth mindset? It is an attitude in which we do not fear failure and see it as an opportunity for growth. For example, when a colleague suggests, let's try a new way of doing a project that has never been done before, you might think, that's impossible, at first. However, if you are conscious of scientist mode, you will be able to respond flexibly by saying, let's try to see how much possibility there is. When the entire community develops a growth mindset, resistance to challenges is reduced, and as a result, innovation is more likely to occur. Building bridges through conversation. Finally, let's remember the story of Daryl Davis again. He dispelled the prejudice and hatred of KKK members by repeatedly talking to them. This is another example of the power of scientist mode. The simple question, why do you think that way, planted a small seed in the other person's mind, and from there, big change was born. By utilizing the power of such conversation, we can build bridges with people no matter how different their opinions are. And we can see a path forward for the entire community to move forward together. Take a step towards the future with Think Again. So, we learned a lot from the book Think Again. What this book teaches us is that flexible thinking is the key to opening up the future. And it's not just about self-development, it has the power to have a positive impact on our daily lives, work, and even the entire community. Using the teachings of this book, you may be able to create dialogue to generate new ideas at work, and in relationships you may have more room to listen to what others have to say. And most importantly, give yourself the courage to rethink. Even if your current thinking seems perfect, questioning it can lead to unexpected discoveries and opportunities for growth. What Rina thinks through this book is that it contains a message that is perfect for this channel, which aims to be the best book explanation library in Japan and the world. We hope that the explanations we provide will not just convey knowledge, but will also inspire listeners to think, I'll try to think in a new way myself. For example, when reading a book on the law of attraction, you can use the ideas in this book to ask yourself, how can I strengthen my belief? Even when reading a book on leadership or asset management, you may think, let's look at things from a new perspective, without being bound by stereotypes. Towards the realization of your dreams. This channel aims to be a presence that supports your future. Our goal is to bring positive changes to your mind while healing your daily busyness and fatigue. That's why we would like to incorporate the teachings of Think Again and explore new possibilities with you all. Finally, thank you for learning with us again today. You are really wonderful to be able to use time for your own growth in this way despite your busy schedule. I'm sure your future will be bright. I believe that you will definitely succeed. I will continue to do my best to deliver videos through this channel so that as many people as possible can be happy, so please support me by subscribing to the channel and commenting. Requests such as, I want you to explain this book next, are also very welcome. So, please take a good rest today and have another wonderful day tomorrow. This was Lena. See you.